All right, we want to greet everyone in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and we are grateful to the Lord for everyone that's here today. All right, if you have your Bibles, let's go to the 18th chapter of the book of First Kings. Today we're going to talk about some things, and my prayers is that you will hear what the Lord has to say. Turn that down. The 18th chapter of the book of First Kings. We're going to read over a few things, and I sincerely hope that after today we'll have a better understanding of maybe something that we are or have dealt with. Is everybody there? All right, we're going to start reading at verse 17. It says, "And it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Balaam. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the grove 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people, and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many. And call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awaked. And they cried aloud, and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets, till the blood gushed out upon them. And it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, Fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice, and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And they did it the third time. and the water ran round about the altar, and filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell, and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, The Lord, he is the God. The Lord, he is the God. And Elijah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon, and slew them there. And Elijah said unto Ahab, Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain. So Ahab went up to eat and to drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth and put his face between his knees. And said to his servants, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Everybody see that? So we wanted to read all of this to kind of paint this picture. Of course, you know what happened before this in the previous chapter. We're introduced to Elijah and his ministry. And the first thing he announces is that to Ahab is that it will not rain but according to his word. And so for 3.5 years, they're in a drought. Famine is happening in the land. And water is very scarce because it's not raining. And also crops, the food is very scarce as well. And people are dying because of this famine. And so here, at the end of the famine, Elijah puts a question to the people. How long will you halt between 2 opinions? In other words, the people, they were serving Baal, but they also thought that it was okay to mix religions and serve God with Baal. And my prayer is that we'll make this clear today, that our first Baal is our flesh. And people think that they can serve flesh and serve God at the same time, and you can't. And the Lord asked that question as well today. How long are you going to be halt between 2 opinions? In other words, today you are not to be thinking in your mind, I'm going to serve Baal, and then tomorrow I'm going to serve something else. At some point, you have to make up your mind to serve God and not serve flesh, if that makes y'all understand that now. And so we see this challenge. We see that the 450 prophets of Baal, they're up there and they take up this challenge. And they're doing all kind of things to get Baal to answer. And I want to make this clear, and I hope you all understand this, that these people, the prophets of Baal, thought that they could do what they were intending on doing. They thought that they could call fire down from heaven. And I don't doubt, maybe in the past they did. Maybe in the past they were able to do it under the spirit of witchcraft. Devils can answer. And so to them it was not an impossible feat, if that makes any sense. If you remember what happened with Moses and Jannes and Jambres, when Moses went down to get the children of Israel out of Egypt. They felt like they had the power and authority to do that. They felt like that they had the power and authority to do that. And so they were more than happy to take God up on his challenge. I want to make this clear. Uh, the devil has power. And there's just about one thing that he will not be able to mock God in. He cannot heal people. He cannot heal people. He can make this podium levitate. He can make you levitate. But he will not heal people. Now, you know, one of the things from the beginning of this ministry that I have dealt with people is religious spirits. That's a very, and I've said that before, that's the hardest spirit I've ever run into. I've dealt with all kinds, but that religious one, that's the hardest one, because that one is convinced that they're heaven bound. That spirit that has a form of godliness, but like what the Word of God says, but deny the power thereof. In other words, the devil has power to make you sick, but he does not have power to heal you. And so how do you know a religious spirit? How do you know when somebody has a religious spirit? When they're the first one to clap, they're the first one to sing, they're the first one to preach, but they are the last one to change. The devil will make you clap, he'll make you sing, he'll make you speak in tongues, but if you got a religious spirit, you will not change. Not according to God's word. You'll be the same person that you were when you so-called first came to God. The devil will not, in other words, he does not heal, not just natural diseases, but your soul will not heal if you have a religious spirit. He don't mind you being religious, because you have to keep in mind he himself is religious. That's what makes that spirit so hard to grab a hold of, you see. The devil is a religious somebody, but he's not a changing somebody. He's not interested in changing. He don't see the importance of it. Oh, every week he'll come to church and he'll whine and gripe and complain about how he's trying to do better, but he ain't trying to do better. He don't intend to. He just wanna cover himself with religion, and the poor soul that's bound by that spirit have no idea they're held bound. That it doesn't make any sense for people to go to church for years and years and still be the same, and in most cases worse than what they were when they first started going to church. The last thing you need when you go to somebody's church is religion. You need some salvation, some power from God on high to change you. But the first thing you have to do is want to change and see the necessity of it. Everybody understand that now? And so Elijah, he runs into this religious congregation, the children of Jacob here, the children of Israel. They are religious. And because they're religious, they're stagnated between two opinions. God got something good for me, but also flesh got something good for me as well. And so I don't see any reason to just completely be surrendered and submitted to God. We'll do both. We'll serve God, and we'll also serve flesh. And that's the halt between two opinions. And so here, God shows his power. And I want, again, now we want to make this clear that the prophets of Baal thought that they could call fire down from heaven. And I don't doubt that that's a trick that they had done before. But here's where God comes in at. God is all power. and he was able to stop whatever devils was answering by fire before. He was able to stop it from happening. Now, that there shows the power of God and how it's supposed to operate in our life. Not only will God answer by fire, but he'll stop the devil from wreaking havoc in your life. He'll not only show up, see, because God is not a side-by-side God, if y'all understand what I mean when I say that now. God don't run a race against the devil. God is the only one running the race. The devil is on the sidelines where God put him. So when God come into your life, it ain't supposed to be him and the devil wrestling for your flesh. God's not going to live in there at the same time that the devil is. So either God is in control or the devil is. They're not in there taking turns. Y'all understand it now? So this right here lets us know what was going on in this instant. And we read about Elijah and how he said that God bid him to do these things, and it was done. Fire came from heaven, not only consumed the sacrifice, but it consumed everything around it. Could you imagine a fire hot enough to burn stones and dirt and water? It did it because it was God's fire. Now, what is that showing us? The burnt offering is the sacrifice that people offer up to God. And we come to church just like y'all were doing this morning. You came to church, you heard some nice music in you. Some of you were lifting up your hands and worshiping God in your hearts. But God don't just burn up that sacrifice. He's going to burn this dirt. Yeah, this is what he's burning. He's going to burn dirt too. It ain't just a sacrifice he's after. This right here is going to get burnt. Everybody understand that now? So this is how you know, brothers and sisters, if God has received your sacrifice when you come before him and offer up a praise. Is this dying? Y'all understand that now? Yeah, is this. See, the dirt surrounded the sacrifice. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, Lord, are you burning this dirt? You see, are you killing its will? Does everybody understand it now? And so we want to make that clear that Elijah must have felt 20 feet tall. Him against really 850 false prophets. And 450 of them they took and killed. He must have felt 10 feet tall, 20 feet tall to have that kind of victory. And to know that God have answered him by fire in front of all of Israel. We wanted to read all of this scene here because we wanted you to see what one man must have felt like. And it's important that we really bring this out. We wanted you to see what one man must have felt like to have prayed that God would not send rain, and then God respond and not send rain for 3 years and 6 months. So what did he feel like? To know, first of all, that God stopped rain in all the earth for his sake, just because he prayed it. And then for the purpose of, at the end of all of this, the children of Israel are going to turn their hearts back to God. You watch and see. And so then God laid it on his heart to tell Ahab, you gather all of Israel, meet me at Mount Carmel. So that's what he did. They all met him at Mount Carmel, and he preached the message. How long will you halt between two opinions? God is about to show out for you all, and you'll see then who the real God is. And so one man, through his prayer, got all of Israel to turn their hearts back to God. Not only that, but to kill the false prophets as well. That was a major feat for one man to do, for God to back him up in that. A nation of millions of people turned their hearts back to God because one man cared enough of them to pray that it would not rain. And so what we read here was the coup de grace of all of it. God's going to send rain after he show off, see. So imagine how he must have felt in his heart. Thank you, Lord. If I don't do anything else, what else can be done? See, let's think about it. He was a prophet to Israel. And so there was no need now because he had done what all you can do. All a prophet's job is to turn the hearts of God, to turn the hearts of the people back to God. He had done that. Through obedience, he done it. What else? Now, I'm going to go back up to the top of Mount Carmel. I'm going to sit down, put my face between my knees, and I'm going to pray that it rain. He sent his servant out 7 times. And the servant said, I see a cloud now, it looked like a hand. It hadn't started raining yet, but how long had it been since they seen a cloud? He told Ahab, look, you better hurry up, get on your chariot and get down this hill because it's about to rain, and if you don't hurry up and get down there, you're going to get stuck in the rain. Your chariots are going to get stuck in the rain. Ahab had already saw the power of God. Let me get on my chariot. Y'all go. Y'all, you know. And he had such a high. The Bible says that the hand of the Lord came upon him, and he outran that chariot. He beat Ahab to where he was going. It don't get any higher than that, where a man is outrunning horses. Everybody see now? All right, so y'all all agree that Ahab was high without the smoke? He was high without weed? Yeah, it don't get higher than that. You got to feel some kind of way to outrun chariots. You feeling yourself. Everybody understand that now? All right, now let's go to chapter 19, start reading at verse 1. And this is where the mess starts. Does everybody see that? Verse 1. And Ahab told who? Uh-oh. Ahab told who now? All that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Everybody see that now? Then Jezebel did what? Sent a messenger. Everybody see that? Unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? That Jezebel was something else, wasn't she? Verse 3, and when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. Everybody see that? But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might do what? That he might do what now? And said, it is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. That shows you the terror that Jezebel had. Isn't that right now? Doesn't it? Wait a minute. What happened to the man that called fire down from heaven? What happened to the man that stopped it from raining and then started raining it again? What happened to the man that outran the chariot? Today we're going to talk about witchcraft. And we're going to talk about one element of witchcraft. What was it? What was it that made Elijah go from being the most victorious prophet in the Bible, one of the greatest feats in the Bible, to turn a whole nation to serve God through the power of God? What made him go from that to asking the Lord to take his life? Why all of a sudden he's up here and then in the next moment he's down here as soon as messengers come? The Bible said that he ran for his life. What was it that made him do that? After the day, I pray that you'll really get this. when we say that everything that's in the Bible is in there for a reason. It's not just a story. You know, to me, when I read the Bible, you know, there's plenty of things left out of the Bible. But so what that let me know is when I read the Bible, if there's something in there, then we need to pay attention to it. Because God left a lot of details out, if y'all understand what I mean when I say that now. Nobody knows what Jesus was doing from 2 years old to 12. Besides washing dishes or whatever children do. So it was a lot left out of there. Does everybody understand that now? And so what that lets me know is if I read something in it, that means that God put it in there for a reason, and it's all in there for a reason. So what we need, the question that we're asking now, is what made Elijah, what discouraged him, what made him go from the top of the mountain to asking God to take his life? The same God. Now I want you to think about this. Why didn't he ask God to strengthen him? Think about this now. If he had the faith to pray that it wouldn't rain for 3 years and 6 months, and God honored his prayer, and then he had faith to pray again that it would rain, and God answered his prayer, and then he had faith, you know, to go by the brook Kidron for the Lord to feed him, and the Lord fed him. God told him to go to the widow woman's house. She had sustained you, and they were sustained. Every morning they got up, they had oil in the bucket, and they had a meal there as well for about 3 years. Every morning. So he had all his feet. He had all of these challenges that he had overcome. While he was staying with the widow woman, her son died. And she came to him, she said, you come to me, man of God, to expose my sin? Is this why my son is dead? And he said, give me your son. He took the son, took him up into his attic where he was living. He laid the boy across the bed and laid his body across the boy's body and called for the boy's spirit to come back in his body. And the boy started breathing again. So if he's had all of these prayers answered, why not pray and ask the Lord, just take this woman out of here? She's already killed a lot of your prophets. Some of them still hiding off in caves that Obadiah have hid them in. Just kill this woman. She's not going to repent. Just take her life. Why? And is everybody following me so far? The same God that answered by fire could have answered his prayer that the Lord would take her life. Just get her out of the way. Why did he pray to die? That the Lord would take his life instead of taking Jezebel's life. He would have been well within his right to do so. I tell you why. Because he was under attack. And when somebody is under the attack of witchcraft, it's never them praying the right prayer. It's always them and their own demise. Does everybody understand that now? He would rather pray that the Lord would take his life instead of the woman that had him running. That's how you know it's witchcraft. Witchcraft always does you in. Does everybody understand it now? I say, does everybody understand that? And the devil used a very subtle form of witchcraft. A very, very common one that we're going to talk about today. Does everybody understand now? Do we all really get that now? When you're under attack, you will pray a prayer that's to your demise. You would rather you leave here than ask the Lord to remove whatever it is that's gotten you want to leave here. When you're under a spiritual attack, your demise is at the end of it. you do things that are detrimental to you. Y'all understand that now? That's what witchcraft is. It makes the person hurt themselves. It'll make Elijah, that great man of God who had all of these feats and all these notches in his belt, it'll make him pray for death. Instead, listen, he could have easily just prayed, well, Lord, the same way I killed her prophets, I could kill her. Or you can get to her. Or you could just make her be quiet and sit down somewhere. You don't have to kill her. Just make her handicapped and dumb. She won't give out any more orders of who's going to be killed. He could have easily prayed any of those prayers and God would have honored it. But no, the prayer was, Lord, kill me. Take my life. I'm no better. Isn't that something now? Now, if that's not witchcraft, I don't know what is. So then the question is, what opened the door for this witchcraft? How did he go from all these great feats that we just named? All of Israel now rejoicing and praising God because of his obedience to God. How did he go from that to just in the next few hours, Lord, take my life because I'm no better. I'm no better than folks before me. How did he go from that? What is in the Bible? We read it already. In fact, let's go read it again. Start reading in verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done. And y'all listen very carefully. And withal, how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and did what? What did he do? In other words, he ran for his life. We're going to come back to that. And came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went what? He went what now? What did he go? 20 to 25 miles. That's a day's journey. So he dropped off his servant over here, and then he went 20 and 25 miles over there. Everybody understanding now? Let's go and keep reading. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, it is enough now. O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Everybody see that now? So now you see, when I come across people, and it's some of you sitting here today that have that I give up spirit, I quit spirit, you know that you are under spiritual attack. That's what Elijah had. I give up, I quit, I ain't no better. I just might as well just seem like I ain't gonna never get it right. Could you imagine now a man that just called fire from heaven and got a whole nation back to serving God? And this is his prayer, Lord, just come on and kill me because I ain't no good. Everybody see that now? Do you believe that Elijah wasn't any better than any of his ancestors? Now I want you to think about that. So now the question is, do you really believe it when you say, well, I ain't just, Lord, I just you might well just go and take my life now because it just seems like I ain't gonna never get it right. What if the Lord answered you and said, okay, lay down so you don't hit your head on the floor? I'll tell you, if the Lord got to answering our stupid requests, we get thinking twice about our requests. Does everybody understand that now? So now you understand what's behind that I give up spirit. I ain't gonna never get it right. I'm throwing my hands up. That y'all understand? It's a spiritual attack. It's witchcraft. Verse 5. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree. Behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and did what? Laid him down again. Everybody see that? In other words, he went back to sleep. Let's go and keep reading. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. Everybody see that now? And he arose and did what? Did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat how long? 40 days and 40 nights until Orab, the mount of God. Everybody see that now? In these scriptures that we just read, you see what opened up the door for his moment of weakness when he's praying and asking the Lord to take his life. What was, in other words, what was the witchcraft? What was the spell of Jezebel? What was it that she was attacking him with? The lack of sleep. The lack of sleep. It is a very, very subtle form of witchcraft. Because the devil knows when you're tired, you have no fight on the inside of you. He knows when you, how many of you have ever been so sleepy where you just felt like, Lord, if you take my life, that's good. I can sleep from now to eternity. The lack of sleep. It is a form of witchcraft. When people have trouble sleeping, when they're not getting enough rest, you are no good for fighting for your life. And the devil knows it. You show me somebody that has trouble sleeping, that can't close their eyes at 10 o'clock and go to sleep and sleep a whole night, I'll show you somebody that's under spiritual attack. I'll show you somebody that's going to wake up the next morning grumpy, tired. How many of you have ever been there where you can sleep, you might sleep 5, 6, 7, 8 hours and still tired and just feel like you sleepy the whole day? Then the question is, how strong are you spiritually while you're sleepwalking? It is a spiritual attack. Everybody understand it now? Does God need to sleep? Does God need to rest? No, except he rested on the seventh day to give us an example. He rested. Y'all understand it now? In the New Testament, when Jesus Christ came in flesh and he's casting out devils and healing people, and the people are there, and he's doing it on the Sabbath day, and the religious people are there calling him out on it, he said the Sabbath day was made for man. The man wasn't made for the Sabbath. In other words, God gave a day of rest for us to rest. It's not meant for us to worship the day. But it's meant for us, as an example, to have us to lay down somewhere and rest. Does everybody understand that now? One of the first lessons we learn in the Bible is rest. In 6 days, God created the earth and everything you see in it. The seventh day, he rested. Again, did God need to rest? No. So that one, it was an example for us to follow. To rest. My wife and I are taking care of our little grandbaby. We could tell when she done had a good night's sleep, because she wake up talking, playing and talking. Oh, but when the devil was in there stirring her and she wasn't resting well, and she going to be hollering when she wake up like a monster was chasing her. And you know, when she wake up in a bad mood because she hadn't rested well, it takes about 30 minutes for her to snap into life. The only thing we know, get her crackers and juice. Crackers, juice, and prayer. Let her take communion. Maybe that'll snap. Okay, the crackers. Okay, this is all right. I'm coming at him slowly but surely, Lord. Oh, oh. My wife is hesitant about that sometimes. Like, what do you know what's going on? She smelled the rich crackers across the room over there. Just get the girl her communion so we can all. So the attack came. Now, and I want to make this clear. When you don't get enough sleep and you don't get enough rest, in other words, you're dealing with sleep deprivation and unrest, you are not going to be in a good mood very long. Do you know, and I want to make this clear, one of the ways people are programmed is through sleep deprivation? When I was in basic training, our hours, we started work at 4 a.m. and we worked until 10 p.m. and then we slept for 6 hours. We could not go to bed in between. We could not take a nap in between. From 10 to 4 in the morning was our sleep. From 4 to 10, we were doing something. We were doing push-ups. We were working. We were running. We were always doing something. Every now and then, they would let us take a break to write letters. But all the time from that belonged to them. We only had 6 hours of sleep, and sometimes less than that. When I got to basic training, I got there after midnight. We all had to take a shower and put on our uniform to, what they gave us to go to bed in. And when we got done, it was about 3:20 a.m. At 4 a.m., here comes our company commander with a trash can beating it. Get up! And we all get up, standing at what we thought was attention, on the edge of our bunks and all facing one another. You know how that goes. If you've seen it in the movies, that's how it is in real life. And he starts going up and down the aisle, getting in each one of our face, telling us what he will and won't put up with. He get in this guy's face across from me who was white, and he tells this guy, I don't want to hear any racial slurs. He said, because a black man might save your life one day. Yeah, you telling them. That's right. No racial slurs. And then he comes and get in my face. And he says, I don't want to see none of them 5-minute handshakes either. All right, boss, you won't see. One man who was not a big man controlled about 83 of us. He told us what to do and we did it without any fight. You know how? Sleep deprivation. We submitted our wills. Through sleep deprivation. Does everybody understand it now? See, when we first got there, we thought it was all about the push-ups and sit-ups and all of these things that you see that happens in basic training. But how was one man able to break the will of 83 men and make us all uniform and program us all to operate as one solid unit? The number one tactic, sleep deprivation. The same way the devil does it today. Sleep deprivation. If I can stop you from sleeping properly, I can move in on your will and do what I want to do in your life because you're not strong enough to withstand me. This is what had Elijah ready to give up the ghost. So then the question is, well, what caused the sleep deprivation? Let's go back and read verse 2 and 3 in chapter 19. It says, Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. Verse 3, what does the first few words say? What does it say now? When he saw that. Isn't that interesting? Y'all pay close attention to everything that's in the Bible. Jezebel sent a messenger to tell him. In other words, to talk it in his ear, not to act it out. But the Bible says when Elijah saw it. Y'all understand it now? What was it? Right then and there, fear came upon him. And the devil took over his imagination and let him see what Jezebel had plotted to do to him. He knew he wasn't going to die a regular death like what maybe the other prophets of God had died that Jezebel had got a hold of. Jezebel was going to make a prime example out of him, and he could see it. So because he saw what the picture that the devil painted for him, out of fear, he took off running. And you know what else he did? He tired himself out. Sleep deprivation, unrest is the child of fear. People lack sleep, they lack rest because somewhere fear is residing. Somewhere there's an unsettled account. Y'all understand it now? Somewhere is something that they are not dealing with that they need to deal with. Jesus Christ told us when he walked this earth, and I love it when the Lord give us the other side of things. Jesus Christ told us when he walked this earth, agree with who? Your adversary. When? Quickly, while what? In other words, while you're in their company, right? In other words, settle the stuff. Whatever junk you got between you and somebody, go settle it. Settle it. Why? So that you can get some sleep. Why? So the devil can't move in and have you asking the Lord to take your life. Y'all see how it works now? The devil will use anything he can to snatch your sleep away from you. Now, I know that some people may have in their hearts, well, you know, there have been times where the Lord had woke me up and didn't let me get all the sleep I needed. But listen, I want to make this clear. When the Lord wakes you up, he replenishes you. You might be sleeping when he first tap on you to wake you up. But he replenishes you. You won't feel like you've been awake since 3 a.m. Y'all understand that now? And here's another thing we have to ask ourselves. If the Lord is making a habit out of waking me up with the owls, is it because I'm a busybody in the daytime? Is it because I ain't sat down somewhere? Y'all understand it now? We really have to examine ourselves. You go to any doctor with a sickness, I don't care what it is, they're going to give you some medicine and they're going to say, get some rest. Do y'all know sicknesses linger Because you're not resting properly? You can take all the medication you want. If you ain't getting enough sleep, you're not going to feel any better. In fact, lack of rest is the cause of a lot of sickness. Do you know sickness, lack of rest can cause strokes? It can cause heart attacks. It can cause chronic sickness. You show me somebody that's sick all the time, I'll show you somebody that's not getting enough sleep. You know why? Because when you're not resting, if you're not getting enough sleep, your immune system breaks down. And you'll be just like somebody with HIV. You might not have HIV, but your immune system will be deficient. Y'all understand it now? You'll be getting colds, everything that come along, sweep across this nation, you jumping up, tagging it. The devil knows our bodies better than we know it. And he knows if I can cause you not to rest, I'm not only doing this mental and spiritual warfare with you, I'm also attacking your body. Your body won't be able to heal. Do you know at one time in Jesus' life, he did some miracles and healed the sick and did all that and stayed up with those people? And then he told his disciples, let's cross over to the other side. They got on a boat. A storm came. What was Jesus Christ doing? He was resting. He was sleeping, preparing for his next meeting. He was sleeping. Y'all understand that now? Because he understood. Now, could you imagine now? And I want to just make this clear. Again, another example. Here was a man that could walk on water, right? Could heal the sick, raise the dead, right? Do you know he also could have prescribed for himself not to need sleep at all? He could have walked in the supernatural of not ever needing sleep. But he did that as an example for us. In other words, the devil ain't going to be able to get my mind and discourage me because I've lacked sleep. Do y'all realize, think about this now, how do you feel when you're fatigued all day, when you're sleepy, just all day? You may have slept some hours, but then you wake up and you're still tired. It don't matter how bright the sun is, it might as well be raining outside. You just feel like to you, this is a bad day. How many of you ever felt like that? Like you just, all day, it takes extra effort for you to get things done. Lord, I see that mop across the room. But I don't know about today. Everybody understanding now. And if the children got any sense, what they going to say? Mama, Mama don't look like she got enough sleep. Better leave her alone. That's one of the most common witchcraft moves. Spiritual warfare, deprivation of sleep. In fact, in wartime, military uses that, deprivation of sleep. They use deprivation of sleep to extract information from those that have been captured, or POWs. They were doing that in Guantanamo Bay just a few years ago. At nighttime, playing very, very, very loud music and shining bright, bright lights into their cells to keep them from going to sleep. Why? Because they understand if I stop you from sleeping, I don't care how hard you are, I'm going to break your will. That is what sleep deprivation does. It breaks the wills of individuals. That's what it did Elijah. It broke his will to fight. He went from a few hours ago out running chariots and calling fire down from heaven to, Lord, take my life because I ain't no better than those that came before me. The devil broke his will because he did not have the proper rest. Y'all understand that now? When I was in the hospital in 1997, I'd only been preaching a couple of years, about 2.5 years at that time. Well, about 2 years at that time, and I got sick with Legionnaire's disease. And when the Lord was giving me this message, I was reading up on sleep deprivation. I read that it's a man in a Guinness World Book of Records for going without sleep for 11 days. That's what's in the record. And I thought, I beat that. Because I went without sleep for weeks. And I want to make this clear. I was in so much pain, I could not go to sleep. And when the doctors saw that I wasn't sleeping, they would come in and they would give me shots, booster shots, to try to help me to relax and go to sleep, and I could not. Whatever it was they had going through my veins, it felt like fire just moving. I could feel, everywhere I had veins in my body, I felt the liquid going through it, the IV, whatever it was that they had going through it felt like alcohol was going through my veins. So not only was I in a whole lot of pain from, the Legionnaire's disease, but now they got this fire going through my veins, and I sure enough can't sleep. So think about it. I had only been preaching for 2 years. But all that lack of sleep, not being able to eat, because I didn't eat for a month, I'm sure of that. I lost 50 pounds in 1 month. And my next move was to call my wife to the hospital at that time, and I told her, bring a pen and a pad with you. She brought it. She sat on the side of the bed. I said, it looks like I'm not going to get out of here, and I need for you, these are the arrangements that I want. Bury me by my daddy. If they'll let you put me in a pine box, put me in a pine box. Now, you may wonder how. What did it, you'd only been preaching for 2 years. I'll tell you how. Lack of sleep. My will to live was gone. In my heart, I thought, it wasn't a suicidal thing. In my heart, I thought, well, when I leave here, I know where I'm going. But at that time, Taylor was about 7 months old, and her little sister was on her way to this world. So I got a little baby and one on the way. And there I am telling my wife at the time, here's my funeral arrangements. This is how I want it done. I want y'all to think about that. How was the devil able to accomplish that? Lack of sleep. Lack of sleep. Does everybody understand it now? Of course, you know the story. A little bit later when I got out of the hospital, a lady came up to me and said, I never saw you before, but when you came to church this morning, I remembered that the Lord brought your face to me about a month ago and told me to pray for you. Why did the Lord bring my face to that lady who I'd never seen before that I can remember and tell her to pray for me? Because I was in a spiritual war. I was under a witchcraft attack. Y'all understand that now? And the devil had wore my will out. I had no more will to live. Lord, it just looked like I'm going to leave here. So that's fine with me. And listen, and that is how you know you're under a spiritual attack. When the devil is after your life and you're okay with giving it to him. That's that I throw my hands up and I give up because ain't nothing ever going my way. I can't ever get it right. That's all that is. I give up. I just ain't gonna never get it right. It's a spiritual attack. And I pray after the day that you will no longer say that or have those thoughts. Because I'm going to tell you, do you know what the problem is? God took Elijah up on it. Do you know the very next thing the Lord dealt with Elijah about after he showed him his might and his power in the wind and all of that? He told Elijah, okay, go anoint Elisha, a prophet in your stead. You're going to show them some ropes. Then I'm going to call you over to this side of Jordan. I'm going to send a chariot for you. You want to leave? I'll take you. And he got right on that chariot and left. So no, if you don't mean it, don't say it. You know why? Because after a while, you will start meaning it. And the Lord might take you up on it. Lord, I give up. I just ain't my life. I ain't no better. Okay. So what you want to die with? Y'all understand that now? And what's sad is we may go to heaven, just like Elijah did. But what happens when we get there and the Lord tells us, you're going to make it in. But here, see this TV screen? Here, I want you to turn this on, and I want you to watch everything that I wanted you to live another 30 years, and this is what all I would have had you to do, Elijah. But Elisha did it. You let Jezebel win. You let the witchcraft win. So I raised up somebody else to do what you were doing. Y'all understand that now? You see how the devil wins with our lack of sleep? We are weak when we don't get enough sleep. God intends for us to be energized when we first wake up. That's why if you all notice, a lot of times when I speak to you all, I ask, how did you sleep? Because depending on what your answer is, I know whether or not you're under attack. If you didn't sleep well, you feel like you're not getting enough rest, I know you're under attack. And it's a slow, listen, it don't matter. Listen, you're not 12 years old anymore. When you were 12, you could have ran off of 6 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep. You keep doing that week after week, year after year, what's going to happen to you? People have nervous breakdowns behind not getting enough sleep. They have anxiety attacks, panic attacks behind not having enough sleep. Life, everyday tasks become hard to them because they just need to go somewhere and take a nap and can't. When you get enough sleep, you feel like you can conquer the world. My wife will tell you how I am. Man, it don't take me long. You see me yawning, I'm going to take a nap. Yeah, I take naps. Everybody understand that now. And I ain't ashamed to say it. Lay out my little red and blue mat, and I'll be just like a little kindergartner. How many of you take naps? Now, how do you feel after you take that nap? Be mad because it's 6 p.m. Man, I should have got this right this morning. I want to just cue you in on just some everyday wisdom. Don't live a life where when you get out of bed, you hitting the floor running. Give yourself enough time to lay there for a while. Because you know your eyes don't have to be closed and you don't have to be unconscious to finish getting your rest. One of the best things you can do is wake up and just lay there for another 20, 30 minutes. Get your bearings about yourself. Y'all understand that now? When people aren't getting enough rest, they get grumpy and have no idea. They get moody. They snap at people. Y'all ever notice how, for those of us that were going out to clubs and living a nightlife, you ever notice how sin requires you to have a lack of rest? When I was growing up, people would brag about. When I became an adult, I would hear people bragging about how they got in from the club at 4 o'clock and got right up and got right up at 6 o'clock to go to work. And I ain't never missed a beat. Yeah, you missing a beat. Y'all understand that now? If you're the type of individual, you don't like getting up before 7, 8 a.m., I'm telling you there's a spirit there. Y'all understand what I mean now? There's something there. You know why? Because that same individual is going to be a busybody. They're going to wake up, when they do get up out of bed, they're going to be busy. Can't sit nowhere and think for a few minutes about life and how good God is and how the sun is shining bright. Ain't thinking about nothing of that. I got to be doing something. Do you know you ought, when you go to bed, you ought not to be so tired until you've fallen asleep before your head hit the pillow? If you're that type of individual, the devil got his hand on you. You're not getting the proper rest. It is not God's will for you to get right up when it's and hit the floor running. Lay there and think about who you are. Do you remember who you are? Do you remember your name? My first order of business when I wake up is to think about what did God show me while I was asleep. And what I find is if I get up and get to moving before I think about what the Lord have spoke to me, I'm going to forget about what he said. We have to make room for God. And you can't do that if you're busy all the time. Busybodying is a form of witchcraft. I say it's witchcraft. God intends for people to go to sleep and to sleep well. Everybody understand that now? And some of us are not over our childhood. Parents made you go to bed at 10 p.m. and you still mad about it. And you have purposed in your heart, I'm grown and I ain't going to bed at no 10 no more. I'm going to stay up to 1 o'clock. And even through that rebellion and stubbornness, the devil's got his grips on you. Because you're the same one that's complaining about how you're not getting enough sleep at night. You're the same one that's grumpy all throughout the day. Don't know, and be calling for prayer. I don't know why I'm in a bad mood. I can tell you why. Isn't it something? Of all the commandments that God could have given us, he narrowed it down to 10. And one of those is rest. Isn't that something that God has to command people that get sleepy every day to rest? Do you know you don't have to make yourself go to sleep? To me, that commandment might as well say, and I command y'all to breathe. Don't it come natural? Why did God make that one of the commandments? Get some rest. Because he knew we weren't going to have any sense. He knew sin was going to keep us busy. I say sin keep people busy. Somebody hooked on pornography, everybody in the house going to be asleep. They dead tired too, but we're going to be on the covers watching it. Sin always takes your rest. You better know it does. Yeah, sin take your sleep. Does everybody understand it now? And you know, so you mix that busybodying and that kind of spirit with pride, and you know what you got? Folks that look down on other people that don't mind resting. See, to a busybody, somebody that's on a spiritual witchcraft, they think everybody else is lazy. You ain't got no get up and go like I do. Does everybody understand that now? There are people. I grew up and I saw women when I was growing up who would be in the kitchen cooking, and they couldn't stand for their husband or for the children to be sitting down somewhere. And before then, before this message, I didn't know how I looked at that. I know how to look at it now. When folks are under spiritual attack, they want everybody else to be. There's something wrong when you up doing something and you want everybody else to be up doing something. There's something wrong when you feel slighted because you doing something and you want everybody else in the house to be doing something. I've seen women at work calling home and give their husbands assignments, giving them something to do because they often work that day. Y'all understand it now? Do you know how childish that is? I'm not going to wash one more spoon than you washing. In other words, I'm under spiritual attack and I want everybody else to come under spiritual attack. If I ain't getting no rest, ain't nobody getting rest. And I'm telling you, that's the devil. I've seen women try to control their husbands that way. That's what makes them nags. They don't have any rest. That's the reason why they nag. The husband just content, just as content as he want to be, and something wrong with him. I thought you was the man. You supposed to be out there buying the world. I'll tell any hag, you're not going to kill me. When I lay down for the last time, I'm going to lay down. The Lord ain't going to kill me standing up. Does everybody understand that now? Some folks don't know how to sit down somewhere. And it is witchcraft. A man should not have to feel like he need to be up doing something because you up doing something. And vice versa. Because I've seen the other side of it. I say I've seen the other side of it. Y'all understand that now? When I was working a secular job, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. At that time, I only lived I moved where we lived about 7 minutes from the job. Sometimes I would get up 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes 3 o'clock. And I would tiptoe around the house to make sure that my wife at the time did not wake up. Part of the reason was because we had children. And I know that children are a full-time job by themselves. So I tiptoed. I did not want her to wake up. Sometimes I woke up hungry. But I knew how to fix a sandwich. I knew how to fast. And we've talked about this before, and we're going to hit it again today. It is something wrong. It is something wrong. Does everybody understand what I'm saying now? It is witchcraft for a man to want his wife up because he's up. I say it is witchcraft for a man to want his wife up because he's up. If she got small children, let her sleep. She need her sleep. My rule is always this. If somebody is sleeping, they need it. God's got a clock on the inside of us. Our body tells us when we need sleep. It don't matter how long you've been sleeping the past month or so. Y'all understand it now? And I'm telling you, it is witchcraft. I didn't make my wife get up when it was time for me to go to work. If she was still laying in bed, she was going to be there. Most of the time, I didn't say goodbye to her because she was dead tired and asleep. That's how it's supposed to be. Y'all understand it now? And I'm telling you, that's some baby boy stuff. Don't get married if you got to be mad because you got to get up and go to work and take care of your family. Y'all understand what I'm saying now? And it's got men all over the world kicking the bed on the way out the door because the wife's still laying there sound asleep. Y'all understand that now? Now, don't get me wrong. You know as well as you know, if you know me, you know I believe a wife ought to be a wife. I believe that. But I believe she's also a human being. You ought not to have something in your heart against your wife because she's sleeping. Y'all understand now? But you know it's men all over the world that way? If I got to get up, you got to get up. I'm telling you, it's witchcraft. Now, didn't we just read what broke Elijah down? Lord, come take my life. Now today we got men who's the messenger of Jezebel. Let me put some fear in you. Get up and fix me some breakfast. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Do you know that's too early to be thinking about breakfast anyway? You don't need to be worried about eating at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You got all day to eat. Y'all understand what I'm saying now? I'm telling you, it's witchcraft. And we don't tolerate that in this ministry. We teach the sisters to submit to their husbands. But we teach the husband, you better be a husband too. Stop with the witchcraft. Does everybody understand that now? You giving that woman babies, you need to let her get some sleep. Y'all understand now? Wouldn't I have to be, I'm just telling you the way, it is evil. It is evil for me to want my wife to get up because I'm up. That's evil. I'm a tool of the devil if I'm doing that. Y'all understand now? I say I'm a tool of the devil. And we want that, and then we wonder why we're getting the devil all day. We wonder why she's breaking down and ready to fight and all of that. Because you're the messenger of Satan. Does everybody see that now? I'm telling you, a lack of sleep is a witchcraft attack. We believe that. So then why would I want somebody to have a lack of sleep? Why do I expect anything but witchcraft going on in my home? If my wife, if I'm waking up, she's only getting 4 and 5 hours of sleep a day. I'm expecting the devil. Does everybody see now? So let's stop with all of that. If we're doing it, for those that are out in YouTube land or wherever land you are, don't do that. Let folks get some sleep. Y'all understand that now? I'm telling you, how do you deal with that in your brain? Why is it you mean mugging somebody's sleep? That's the craziest thing to me. Get some sleep so you don't wake up grumpy. So we can all have a good day. I'm not going to be mean mugging you while I'm getting dressed. I'm going to be thanking the Lord I got a job to go to. Does everybody understand that now? I'm telling you, when I wake up and my wife's still asleep, I thank the Lord that she's getting sleep. And I'll be tiptoeing around in there, trying not to wake up the baby. Them bones be crackling. I go out of my way to do so. I've got my little path mapped out in there. I even take my shoes off because they get to sticking and slopping up against the floor. Them bones still be cracking. Like, Lord, please let that girl stay asleep. And when my wife wake up, if she wake up after me, I'll ask her, how did you rest? How did you sleep? And sometimes she may say, well, I don't feel like I got enough sleep. And I'll say, well, go back to sleep. Not because I think she's going to be grumpy, but because I know that sleep is needed. Sometimes, on some days, we push ourselves. And we get busy, we got things to do. And that's understandable. But I'm telling you, don't you ignore your body. Don't you ignore it. Does everybody understand it now? There will be some days where we have to push past sleep and we have to get some things, just have to get some things done. But listen, tomorrow, let your body catch up. Tomorrow, let your body finish resting. Does everybody understand that now? Because you feel more spiritually in tune when you've rested. So God does not want us to adopt a lifestyle of sleep deprivation. Y'all understand? As great of a man of God as Elijah was, his lack of sleep is what broke him for that moment. Did y'all see that there? So if we have sleep deprivation, let's ask ourselves, what account have I not settled? Why is it that I'm not sleeping well? Who do I need to call and ask them to forgive me? Who do I need to forgive from my heart, even if I have already asked them to forgive me? Have I really forgave? What is it that the Lord wants to talk to me about that I'm not able to sleep? Y'all understand it now? Let's go real briefly to the 11th chapter of the book of Matthew before we close. The 11th chapter of the book of Matthew, and we're going to start reading at verse 28. As I get older, the more older I get, the more I understand how much rest I need. And I've noticed that if I don't get enough rest, I'm going to suffer in my body. I noticed that. Again, when you're young, you just feel like you can conquer the world. You can just do anything you want to do, and you can run off for 2 and 3 hours of sleep. As we get older, our body begin to give us some common sense. Get some sleep. Y'all understand now? All right, verse 28, what does it say? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will do what? Everybody see that? A lot of times when we read that, all we thinking is spiritual. But that's not just spiritual. Verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto what? Everybody see that now? So now I want to just make this clear. This is not just talking about a natural rest where we lay down and going to sleep. This is also talking about a rest for our souls. Our mind, our will, our emotions. Some of us, we don't sit down long enough for our soul to rest. We always got ideas. We always out doing something, running the store, running here, running there, ripping, running, just everywhere. And we can come up with a million other things that we need to do. And we're never just sitting down somewhere and just relaxing. I mean, really relaxing. Even when we're sitting down, we're thinking about what we're going to do when we get up. Just always going. In our brain, our mind just always got something planned, got coming down the road. Just got to do something, got to do this, just always busy. And even that's an attack of the devil. Jesus Christ has given us the remedy. Come to him. See, because as long as you are that way, your will is what you're worshiping. You don't have time to ask God what he wants you to do because you got so many other things you need to do. You got things to do. Your schedule is full because of your will. So you never have time for God. But what did Jesus Christ say? Come unto what? Yeah, everybody see that now. One of the ways I know, listen, I want to make this clear. If we pay attention to life, the Lord will help us. Brother Junior, when I was growing up, he had a brown car, a Buick, a loan car. And even when I worked with him in the ministry, he still had that car parked outside. That was the car that God would use him to send him around to pray for people and things like that. Then one day, I was talking to him. I asked him about that car. Brother Junior, that car still work? He said, yeah, it works. It'll start up and it'll go right now. I said, well, why you don't drive it anymore? He said, because when I saw it taking up too much of my time, I parked it. A perfectly good car. He said, but it was taking up too much of his time. He was having to do this on it, that on it. You know, our cars he got to do all that maintenance and things when they get a certain age like that. He said, when I saw it taking up too much of my time, I parked it. That was somebody that was spiritually aware of what the devil was doing. Was using something that he cared about to take up his time so that he would not have time for God. You don't care about going to pray for folks as long as you got some oil to change every week. As long as you got a water pump to change, something always happening, always. No, we're going to put this down and we're going to seek the Lord about it. Y'all understand that now? So there is a lot of our lack of rest. The devil will use anything to distract you, take your rest. Y'all understand that now? So Jesus tells us to come to him if we want rest for our souls. That's how we overcome witchcraft. That lack of sleep, that unrest, that's how we overcome it. We come to him for it. Y'all understand that now? What that story tells me with Elijah is when somebody has a lack of rest, their faith suffers. And you don't have to go and do an experiment about it. I'm telling you. You're not getting enough rest, your faith will take the hit for it. Everybody understand that now? So wives, sisters, don't nag your husbands and make him restless. Y'all understand? Husbands, let your wife sleep. Let her physically get enough rest. Y'all understand that now? We all need rest to be able to function in life. Get some. Does everybody understand that now? That ought not to even be a commandment. That was a commandment. Get some rest. Y'all understand that now? You know, and some common sense. Y'all understand that? If you know you got to get them and go to work at 6 o'clock, you ain't got no business going to bed at 1 o'clock. And if that's the case, if that's your routine, then you have to ask yourself, what sin is it that's keeping me up at night? What am I catering to in life? Y'all understand that now? Because you know, just naturally so, you are programmed to survive. Do you know you can go to sleep without wanting to go to sleep? So just naturally, so all you got to do is obey. That's one time you ought to obey your flesh, when it's time to go to sleep. Unless God done called you to get up and pray. Does everybody understand that now? We obey our flesh and everything else. Lord, thank you for this cheeseburger. Thank you for this hamburger. Thank you for these fries. Thank you for these cookies. Flesh is getting worshipped all over the place, except in sleep. Isn't that something? You see the catch-22 there? We'll obey flesh and everything else except for rest. You know why? And that's the way you know it's demonic, because God commanded it. Because God commanded it. Y'all understand that now? So brothers and sisters, let's not fall into that temptation of witchcraft. You get some sleep. Does everybody understand that now? God never told Elijah to go 40 days into the wilderness. He never told him to go all that way into the wilderness, a whole day's journey into the wilderness. Does everybody understand that now? He did that out of fear. And listen, we'll say this and close. If I'm not getting enough rest, if I'm not getting enough sleep, it's a telltale sign that somewhere I'm disobeying God. Somewhere I'm overindulged in something. If I'm not getting enough rest, if I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm disobeying God somewhere. And the devil's whooping my behind with it. The devil's got a right to torment you outside of the will of God. Does everybody understand that now? So that's a telltale sign. Does everybody see that now? Do y'all remember what? In fact, let's go back and look at that. Let's go real briefly to the to the 19th chapter of 1 Kings. Is everybody there? Start reading in verse 8. It says, and he arose, and he did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Oreb, the mount of God. And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and said unto him, what? What doest thou here, Elijah? Everybody see that? Did I tell you to go there? Everybody understand that now? This is part of the reason why you're so sleepy, Elijah. This is part of the reason why you're ready for me to take your life. Because you're going places I didn't tell you to go. You're doing things I didn't tell you to do. This is where the devil's getting you at. You got all this zeal outside of my will. And then when it's time to do something for me, you belly aching about it. So this is the question we need to ask ourselves. What are we doing here? Everybody understand that now? Lord, what am I doing that I'm so tired all the time? Sleepy all the time? Why am I not getting enough rest? Everybody see that now? Jesus Christ told us that he gave us 12 hours to work. There are 12 hours in a day. In other words, we got 12 hours of sunlight to work in. At some point, we ought to wrap it up. Everybody understanding now? I can't stress this enough, brothers and sisters. At some point, we ought to wrap it up. If we get rid of the spirit of stubbornness and pay attention to life, we'll know when something's not God's will. If it's taking me forever to finish it, it ain't God's will. Y'all understand that now? If it's taking a lot out of me, it ain't God's will. Because if it's God's will, I got the grace to do it. I got the grace to do it if it's God's will. But if it ain't God's will, I'm going to feel like I'm by myself. It's going to take my strength to do it. Does everybody? That's what we just read in the 11th chapter of the book of Matthew. Come unto me, all ye that labor. Everybody understand that now? But no, we're not coming to God for that. We got our own plan. This is what's my plan. I'm planning on finishing it. And God is saying, I'm going to frustrate you. And in the meantime, you're going to be attacked by all kind of witchcraft because you're not getting enough sleep. You're going to be a grumpy somebody. You're going to be in a bad mood. You're going to be falling spiritually. And you're going to be trying to figure out, why am I not spiritually strong like I used to be? Why is my house falling apart? Because you're not sleeping and you're not letting anybody else sleep in your home. Does everybody understand that now? And the devil thrives in the lack of rest because he know that commandment just like we know it. We're commanded to rest. Y'all understand that now? So I hope y'all see now why it's important to follow God's word. You don't always know the reason why, but God does. Isn't that something now? Again, some of us, we stand up to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning because we still despise mom and daddy's rules. Isn't that something? Still mad because we had to go to bed at 10 and they got to go to bed at 11. That's some kind of rebellion, ain't it? My prayer is that we're here today, brothers and sisters. All right, if the Lord will, we're going to meet up a little bit later today and we'll discuss what we've heard. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask, where's Brother Jeremiah Jr. at? Come on up, dismiss us in a word of prayer.